Hello. All right, we are on. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Atari 8-bit stream, where I'm going to unbox some Atari stuff. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. Let me get this and kind of put this right here. And then we'll take this and we'll put that right there. All right. And I think I do have to demic so I can move over here. This is a wired keyboard. Forgot about that. Well, that makes things slightly more awkward. Let's see here. I can't squeeze the chair. Like that. Round over here. Okay, I think that looks okay. Now, got to plug in the auxiliary keyboard here for our scene selection. But that ain't no thing. This guy. Right there. All right. Okay, we'll get this show on the road here. Okay. So just a little bit of preamble before we begin. These boxes, which you can kind of see here, were sent to me from an anonymous donor who shall remain nameless. He saw one of our episodes of 1200 XL, or maybe it was Amigos. He saw Aaron and I, and he said, I've got some stuff, some Atari 8-bit stuff. And if you know me, I love Atari 8-bit stuff. So I said, all right, send it over. I'd love to have it. I just want to do a quick, yeah, that's what I thought. Got to change one more thing. Hang tight. Come over here, click in that window, and then there we go. That's our close-up cam. So yeah, we have, I think, 1, 3, 5 boxes of various delights to go through. And so we're going to start with this big one right here. I've taken the liberty of cutting the boxes open so we don't waste any unnecessary time. I've also got a nice cup of decaf. Oh yeah, that's the stuff right there. So I hope you're able to cozy up with a beverage of your choice. Hey, Spenny, how's it going, man? Hope you're able to cozy up with a beverage of your choice, settle in on this cold winter's day, and watch me unwrap some Atari 8-bit goodness. So I want to start with this bad boy right here. That's not much to look at. Keep it on this camera. And what we have here is an Atari 800. I'll swing it around here. You can kind of see there, pretty poor. Unfortunately, shipping has not been kind to our buddy here. It is missing some keys. It's not, the keys are there, but they've been jostled out of place. However, with the Atari 800, it is a well put together machine. Popping these keys into place should not be a problem at all. So let's try that right now. Oh my gosh. The Atari 800, it is hefty in girth. I would say this is probably about a 10-pound computer. It's much heavier than the 1200 XL that I have that preceded it. But yeah, let's see here. Maybe we can raise this up just a little bit to get a little bit more action. It's pretty good. So yeah, let's put some of these keys back. The 8. They should just press right in there. Yep. Got the shift. The shift is a little weird. I guess it's got a, does it go right there on the corner? I don't want to hurt anything. Yeah, look at this, Barry, huh? This was a little bit mangled in shipping, but we're going to put these keys back on. We're going to test. I may need to call upon your abilities, your keyboard layout ability, to make sure that I put these keys back in their right homes. Okay, the caps lower key, I'm guessing that that goes right here. The Atari key, which the Atari key rules, by the way. Look at that. I'm guessing. Okay, let's do all the letters first. So here's the X. Oops. Upside down. Hard to tell with the X. I tell you, these keys, this keyboard feels great. It is a great example of an early computer keyboard. You know, it's not clicky at all, but it is, which I don't like. I'm one of those few people that don't like the feel of the IBM keyboards that everybody loves these days. But it's just got that, it feels good. It feels totally different than Atari's later computers. The XE computers in particular are just horrible, like the 130XE, which is, I believe, technically the most powerful 8-bit computer Atari released. That keyboard is borderline unusable. It feels cheap and nasty, and I hate it. I had a 130XE new in box, and I took that out and plugged it in and put it right back in the box and got rid of it, because I'm not going to use a computer that I don't like to type on. Here's where the Z goes. This is another tricky one. Could go either way. Yeah, I put it in upside down. I guess it really can't. That's all right. And we've got the 2 shifts, and we've got there's the question mark. And you think that goes like that? I don't know. There's 1 shift. See, I'm worried. Okay, there's that shift goes there. And then where does this shift go? Because we still have the Atari key to put in. So I'm wondering if I screwed up. Let's pop that bad boy back out. And maybe, yeah, that's the shift. Whoa, there's the Atari. You got it, Barry. You knew what was up. Thank you, sir. All right, and the final shift. Look at that. We reassembled that Atari 800. I'm sort of a hacker. I don't know if I told you. So, why do I love this computer? Well, I love the way that it looks. I love the color, the sort of tan and brown aesthetic, and then the yellow buttons. There's no more 70s computer, although I think the 400 looks slightly more 70s than the 800. But I love the big LED indicator light that you've got there. But of course, the big thing, for those unaware, is that it is, along with the, I don't know if the 400 had 4 ports or not, but I know that none of the later machines did. It still has the 4 joystick ports. And so like you said, Barry, it easily plays Mule. It easily plays Atari basketball, any number of things. You've got the ports on the side here. It's going to be the future home of the Mister. You've got a 5-pin DIN monitor cable, a serial port, the it says peripheral, the remnants of the RF switch, which I guess this had an RF capabilities built in, and power on and off. Nice switch there, nice chunky switch. On the other side, you got nothing. So basically, all the ports are just here on the side. Let's see what delights there might be inside the cartridge port. It says pull to open. All right, inside, got some RF shielding. Maybe glue that back on at some point. And inside, we've got this cartridge. Check this out. This is a CPS Super Salt diagnostic cartridge. I really didn't know that this was a thing. I didn't know that Atari made diagnostic cartridges for their 8-bit machines. This is it's post-Warner buyout, so I think that probably puts it after the 82 or 83. But it's made with this old school cartridge. I'm trying to think about if the XE, XL, the Silver Label games, if they still, I guess they still kept this sort of safety cartridge where they don't have the exposed connections. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty cool. I can't wait to fire this up, run some diagnostics. And this is kind of tough to see. I'll tilt it up a little bit, but the Atari 800 also, it has the 2 cartridge ports. So you can put BASIC in there and run something else. I think there's some other very limited situations where you'd have both cartridge ports in use, but an awesome thing to have. Like I said, you just can't beat the feel of the 800. I'm gonna have to glue this piece of shielding back on to make sure that doesn't fall off, but we'll stick it in there for now so it doesn't get lost. I'll set this cartridge aside and just kind of close that back up without destroying it. That's right, Kissanth. They just call me hacker boat with the spell cool guy style for sure. All right, so again, if you're just now joining us, I am unwrapping a huge shipment of boxes that arrived at my door from an anonymous donor, and I am really looking forward to seeing what's in here. Kissanth, yeah, you and me, buddy. Silent keyboards, that's the way to be. Picard, the new A1200 keycaps. Listen, those keycaps kept the Amiga news section going in the early days of Amigos back in when we started the show in 20. Did we start the show in 2014, 2015, somewhere around there? So yeah, that has kept us going. 2015 is when we started Amigos. Back then, the Amiga news was not as hot and heavy as it is today. So anyway, let's move on, shall we? So our next box. Okay, so the first thing we've got here is ye old Atari power adapter. I think these are a little bit more reliable than the ingot style power supplies that were the scourge of the Commodore community. In fact, this looks to be a brand new specimen. I don't know if that's true or not. I know that you can go through places like Best Electronics and buy new old stock materials, but I mean this, you know, these are wrapped up with twist ties, but stuff like that, stuff used to come from the factory like that, you know, back in the early days. And so this may be a new old stock power supply, 9-volt output, 31 VA. Not sure what that means. Oh, it says Gamble Train. That's the name of the train, the Gamble Train. That's what that is, Kissanth. Good question. Hey guys, if you have any questions about any of this stuff as I'm opening it up, about halfway through, just in time to see Revenge of the Mutant Camels, aka Grid Runner, which was interesting why that game was put out as Grid Runner. All right, coming up next, look at this. Big bag of things. Ziploc bag. Okay. Now, I heard from our anonymous donor that these are a set of Atari paddles that have been totally rebuilt. Boy, I tell you, this one here on the left, that feels as smooth as butter. Smooth as butter. Paddles are, I love paddle games. It's one of the things that really made the 2600 shine. This paddle might have taken a hit at some point. It seems to actually be coming apart a little bit. We'll take a look at that later. Maybe we'll do another rebuild on it. But man, this one on the left here, that is a smooth paddle. You're right, man. What else we got in here? Now this doesn't seem like it belongs in NES controller. Hey, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm a big fan of the NES, as you know. So, yeah. Thank you, man. NES controller. And of course, we couldn't be without a couple original Atari sticks. Now, I know for a fact that these have been professionally rebuilt. In fact, this one is still factory sealed. I believe that there is a guy who on Atari Age takes these controllers, rebuilds them, puts the old micro switch in them. The micro switched Atari joystick. I'm telling you, man, you don't know joy till you kind of little clicky right there. I tried to do this myself with a gym stick. You want to see something that was totally destroyed. When I tried to install the old micro switches in the gym stick, it did not go well. Of course, the gym stick more known for its culinary delights than its gameplay delights. You know, I'm not gonna gnaw on this one quite yet, but yeah, the plastic on the 2600 sticks just doesn't taste the same as the gym stick. This has also got, I guess the Atari, the original, I think it's a CX60 is the part name for these. They have this kind of hexagonal design on the top here, so you get a little extra grip in your strip right there. So yeah, pretty cool, huh? Absolutely, Kia-san. And like I said, this one's still in the package. Still in the package. So next time Aaron comes over, we're gonna have to bust out. I've got a 7800 that Aaron gave me, and we'll bust it out, and we will go to town with these Atari sticks. All right, next, look at this. Well, let's see what we got here. Some cassettes. So we know that this is probably not going to be, could be Atari 8-bit related. Grimm's Fairy Tales for the Timex Sinclair 1000. All right, well, I guess that tells us something about what's coming up later. I've never held in my hands before a Timex Sinclair 1000 or any of its software. It does come with a nice little booklet, though. That's pretty cool. Doesn't just put it all on the J card like a lot of the lower end Spectrum games. We got Grimm's Fairy Tales here. We've got some, oh man, get ready for fun. It's statistics, brother. You got to have 2K of RAM to make this roll, though. I'm not sure what the Timex Sinclair 1000 came with out of the box, but to run Grimm's Fairy Tales, you need 8 times the RAM than what you got when you got statistics. Statistics might just be, you know, maybe that runs on the bare minimum. And then you've got the crown jewel for gamers everywhere, the stock option analyzer. That's right, not just a stock market analyzer, but when you want to put in your calls and your puts, you want to run your Iron Condor, bam, stock option analyzer. There you go. Hey, we're going to run all this productivity stuff on the main table at Boat Fest. Nothing's going to draw like that. So, 3 Timex Sinclair 1000. Hey, at least they've got different colors on the spines, so they'll look good on the thing over there, on the shelf. All right. Again, if you're just now joining us, this is Atari 8-bit and other things unboxing from a very generous anonymous donor. that has graced us with 5 big boxes of stuff. So yeah, hey, Arcade Ages, nice to see you, man. Mitz, yeah, Mitz, you're not kidding. That's a marathon on the. That's a desert bus like marathon right there. All right, away with you, empty box. Let's go on, shall we? Look at this. Bam. It's the Timex 16K RAM module. That's right. That's right. Stock options analyzer. You thought you were getting off easy. You thought that we couldn't run you, but we can. This is the 16K RAM module. It looks like it's a sidecar deal. Maybe the Sinclair 1000. This is the module part number 1016. Has a similar sort of sidecar, it looks like, to the ZX Spectrum. I'm seeing some people in the chat saying that the 1000 is more like the ZX81. Makes sense. See what this bad boy looks like. And man, minty fresh. Hardly a rattle when you shake it up. Hardly a rattle. Sometimes the rattle means it still works. So, hey Dark Shadow, how's it going? Yeah, this is cool. We're gonna plug that in. I'm sure that we might be seeing. Oh, here we go. It even comes with a little bit of docs and a memory test program where you can run a series of poke statements to make sure it's working. So yeah, stay tuned for that exciting time. This is one of these things that I'm not sure if I'm ever going to be able to get it to fit back in there the way that it should, even though it seems like extremely easy. Because it's like there's only one way that this thing can go. And it's not really keyed. You know, I like stuff that's keyed, so you can't screw it up. All right, I think I got it. I think I solved the riddle of the 16K RAM module. Look at that. It's like freaking Indiana Jones. All right. Save you for later. I'll read you a little bit of the flavor text here on the 16K RAM module. Extends working memory to 16,000 bytes. It easily attaches to your Timex Sinclair 1000 and has a 90-day limited warranty. Day 91, it blows up. They can't help you. All right. Well, here's our next box. You knew it was coming. Here it is. It's the Timex Sinclair personal computer. I've never seen one of these, as far as I know, in person, although it's possible that I've seen one sort of in passing, but I've never really taken any time with it. Revolutionary technology makes this computer possible. Yeah, it uses BASIC, easy to program, they say. And it comes with 2K of memory. So 2K is the baseline. Yeah, so this is the ZX81 released for the US market by Timex. The styrofoam is in wonderful shape. Look at this, it's got an embossed styrofoam label. And yeah, it looks like all the parts are here. The size of this thing, you know, the first time I ever saw a ZX81, I couldn't even believe it was real. Like that this was a thing that people, you know, in some cases put together from kit form. It just seems so tiny. And the keys, it is a membrane keyboard, but it's different than the 400 membrane keyboard in that the keys don't really push down. I mean, you can, there's a little bit of travel there, but even in the world of membrane keyboards, this is pretty low. This is pretty low. There's our expansion pack there at the back where we plug in our 16K. We've got a TV out, our familiar ear and mic things, which I believe are actually opposite of what you think if they're anything like the ZX, the ZX Spectrum. This is Timex Computer Corporation, made in France. Made in France. So Timex outsourcing them to the big F. We've got our user manual here. Looks like complete documentation. The warranty card. I always like to see if I can find a receipt somewhere. Those are really cool to see how much people are paying for stuff. But I mean, this looks, all of this stuff looks very, very nice. Looks like there's some, it says, the following late model color televisions which use a new style solid state tuner are incompatible. So it says, these televisions do not contain a fine tuning adjustment and therefore cannot be adjusted to mate with your Timex Sinclair 1000. That's the technical term. I'm surprised that's fallen out of favor. Next time I try and mate my my NES with my CRT, I will use that word. But yeah, there's some Zenith brands here and some Technica models. Any model with a digital tuner, it says you can't use with the Sinclair 1000. lots of mating going on in the chat right now. So yeah, and then you've got your RF switch box. Man, this thing is it's seen better days, as it immediately just kind of exploded on my touch. And real janky looking wires. And then this is that Atari. I always think about it like an Atari style power plug right there. Yeah, so it connects just like all the old stuff did. Here we go. The Timex Sinclair 1000 will be displayed and used with pride. Man, there's some gunk on there. I'm not sure if that's residue from the styrofoam. We think that it is. So put that back on there. Make sure that I've got all the cables tucked in appropriately. All right, slide this bad boy back in the box. Did any of you guys ever, I know Aaron said that he saw these things on cutout at Kmart back in the day. Anybody else use a ZX81? Hey, Bongo Games, thanks. Thanks, ma'am. We appreciate it. Still got one, her Dark Shadow. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So, oh, in here also we have a 5-pin DIN connection. This is essential for the Atari. This is what all the Atari computers use. And that Atari 800, I learned from our anonymous donor, has a video mod that gives it a quote-unquote rock-solid composite output, which means we're going to fire this bad boy up on some live streams coming up in the not-so-distant future. So look forward for those, because the 800 plus the FujiNet is the key to happiness. All right, I got to make room for this final box here. This is the largest and heaviest box in the world, in the universe. Oh! Let's open this bad boy up. All right. So inside here, I'll just kind of give you a sneak peek. It's a big box of books and a big box of magazines. So we'll go through each one of these briefly. This got Analog from February 1987. Analog was a magazine that I always read about. And I always heard about, but I never subscribed to and I never saw. I think it's maybe a little bit more, well, I don't know, just kind of glancing through this, it just looks like a competitor to Antic. A lot of the same sort of programs, you know, Antic and Analog, a lot of these older magazines, there was a fine line between who they were writing for. So you had to have a little bit of everything back in the day. A little bit of gaming, a little bit of productivity, always with the type-in programs, plenty of ads. I will say that I believe Antic had at least a few color pages. This magazine, all black and white. February 1987, still going strong. I believe Analog was just it's mostly for, looks like by this point we've started to transition into the ST era, but still a lot of 8-bit content going on in there. There's another Analog. Look at this, including the Atari ST Operators magazine, ST Log. So at some point, maybe these things branched out. This is a thicker issue. This is from 1986, and the big holiday issue. Oh, we even have some color ads here. So maybe that was a special thing just for Christmas. But look at these factory sealed carts from Atari, $7.99 each. So even back in the like 86, stuff was already starting to get super cheap, and it makes you realize just how many unsold pieces of software Atari made prior to the crash that you can still buy brand new today for not much more than this. If you go over to the best, I think it's bestelectronics.ca or something like that, you can still buy sealed new old stock Atari cartridges for, I mean, $30 now. It's more than it used to be. But when I first started getting into the scene in the early 2000s, the retro scene, they were about $10 a piece. Look at this. You got Epic's World Karate Champions. A lot of good stuff here. And as you can see, these prices are, we always talk about what a ripoff Coco games were. Atari 8-bit stuff by this time has really started to come down into the realm of affordability. You're always going to pay more for something like Ultima 4. I'm sure it's going to come with 27 maps and things like that. Fight Night, Karateka, World Karate Championship, they are, I'd say $20 is not high priced at all. So yeah, we got ads for a fully featured bulletin board system, $49.95, complete modem communication software. These are always fun just to flip through, on a lot of times on days like this, on Sunday afternoons. It's a rainy Sunday afternoon. Get yourself a cup of hot coffee or a cup of hot tea, and look out the window and just flip through these old ads with the hand-drawn graphics and hand-drawn pictures and stuff like that. So yeah, big fan of the mags. All right, we've got an Antic. This is an Antic from December 1986. So again, this is twice the size of a normal Antic. Antic it is a full color publication. So, this was the magazine, like, I think I've told the story before on 1200 XL. My dad had a buddy, Skid Kennedy, and he not only would copy the software for us, but he would also do full-on copies of Antic magazine. So he'd give me some Antics, and they were just stapled together photocopies. So that's how I consumed Antic back in the day. When I finally subscribed to Antic, I believe it was like the May 1992 issue. It was the last issue before they sort of were subsumed by the ST stuff. So more Antic issues. This one, you got your computer mathematics and a 1985 federal income tax spreadsheet. So this one I'm sure flew off the shelves. Atari products are back in January 1986. Look at how this ball is emanating from this guy's nether regions. That's weird. Everything about this is weird. Look at that. He's holding a sword. There's a pinball emanating from his nether regions. You've got a hand in a box. You got a pencil poking out over there. It's a weird freaking cover. Look at that guy's eyes. Weird. Antic Duncan was the name of the graphics chip in the Atari. So that's and I think it probably stood for something itself also, but I always just knew it as the graphics chip in the Atari. Well, what they do, Aaron, is they've got a laser now that can break it up inside you, and then you can pass it without pain. We have the 4th anniversary of Antic, May 1986. Graphics on your daisy wheel printer. That I would like to see, because that was the only kind of printer we had for my Atari. We didn't have a dot matrix printer, and so I'll have to look through here and see what kind of tricks are going on. Look, there's the ST resource. It's weird how they're still using a 2600 stick, but yeah, this is it's like 2 magazines in one basically at this point. But like I said, I was around for Antic for 1 issue before they changed their name to Start, and yeah, it sucked. Look at this. You know, since I bought a Subaru Outback last week, I've been obsessed with these videos of camping with your Outback, where people attach tents to the back of their Outback. It's like van life for weenies, you know. And so I'm gonna have to look into this. Maybe I can take my Atari with me out on the road. Out on the road. They've got a 200-year calendar in this one and a recipe converter. So there you go. That is, look at this. You see it right out here. You've got it looks like a 130XE attached to a black and white television set sitting on the stump or some sort of a tree-like object. So, yeah. People did that all the time, I'm sure. Yeah, well, it might tell you something about the ST Chaos Synth. Here's another Antic. You know, all of these are bigger than I thought they were. So maybe once they started combining with the ST resource, and then there's also, okay, there's like an embedded catalog in here. I don't know if this is, it just says the catalog. So I don't know, oh, the Antic catalog, I guess. So I guess maybe this is something that was sort of an outgrowth of the Atari Program Exchange. But yeah, so that's why this one is a little bit thicker. But it's set in here so you can just, you know, tear it out. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Here is the November 86 issue of Antic, Personal Finance. So yeah, maybe less fun to sort through. I guess all of these come with this catalog inside of it, which adds to the thickness of the thing. Look at this thing. Look at this guy. The next revolution in fun power is here. My favorite kind of power is fun power. This is CompuServe, okay? No, sorry. You get a CompuServe $15 starter set. I'm trying to think about what this allows you to do. Quick. So I guess this is it's sort of an animation program. You can create objects. You can put a soundtrack in there, yeah, this sounds like the sort of program that would promise you the moon, and perhaps deliver less. But it does include a preset library of graphics, musical compositions, and game formats. Whenever I would get stuff like this on my liberated discs, I would always go straight to what was already there, because I did not have the ability to create anything. But playing around with the already existing assets was fun. So yeah. I don't think the 8 bits could do ray tracing. I just don't think that the fidelity was there yet. Kia-san. All right, we move on. This is the hard disks for your Atari, which was a brand new sort of thing. I want to see what kind of pricing we're looking for at these hard disks. Move these out of the way so this will lay flat. I apologize for coughing. I'm getting over an illness. Okay, inside a hard disk, they compare it. Okay, hard disk for the Atari, page 11. All right. So this is why you want one. I'm just looking to see if there's any pricing here. No. Yeah, it's weird they don't mention any pricing. I don't know what a super drive for the Atari 8-bit was going for, but I know that when Aaron sold that C64 hard drive, that thing went for big money, and the people that bought it flew here from Germany to pick it up. So that was a wild thing. Here's another thing here. All right, so let's see what we got here. They've got to give you a price here. There we go. So a super drive with a massive 10 megabyte hard disk. Okay. $799. So, I mean, I guess this might be worth it to somebody. I'm just trying to think about, we're sort of in that weird area in computer history where more capacity is always good, but we hadn't really reached the point where file size became massive because we weren't dealing with images and music and things like that like we would in the 16-bit generation. I feel like this was a little bit too early. You really need to have more files that are of large size to really make this worth your while. Or maybe you're just tired of dealing with floppy disks. It's an interesting picture here they've got. I think this is actually, it looks like a 3.5-inch disk drive right there. This may be a picture of an Atari ST. I don't know what's going on there. Oh yeah, no. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. You paid £400 for the 20 meg hard drive. Yeah, so I mean, this is in line with that for sure. Did you guys use your hard drives much? I mean, I know that the promise was that the Amiga could use, you could load games on. The way I would think about it as a consumer is like, I'm going to stop disk swapping and I'm going to use my hard drive and put all these games on the hard drive. But a lot of games weren't hard drive compatible. So yeah, I'm sure it was worth the purchase price to not have to switch between the 17 discs there, Metz, for sure. All right. So anyway, we move on. I kind of buzz through the rest of these antics. We got September 86, July 86. Look at this. Analog seems like they had consistently better covers than Antic. Well, Jack in the Box, and it's the infinite holding the computer Jack in the Box. Looks like the first issue that included ST log was in 1989. So they probably were apart, then back together. Adventure Games analog. Plus, this is a Desert Falcon, I think. Oh, yeah, it is right there. Two arcade games inside. Must be maybe a New Year's January issue. Yeah, January 89. Yeah, looks like there's a lot more gaming going on on the analog side than the Antic side. Some presentation software. In our special section, Video Game Digest. So, but I mean, you can still find, obviously, diagrams of circuitry and things like that, things that you'd never see in a console gaming magazine. So they were still, even with a slant towards games, there were still other stuff in here. And then, of course, the glorious type-in section. So there you go. And finally, going online. So this is August 86. They're already talking about modem picks and pans by 1,000 Atarians. Genie Online, DB Man, and Envision were the online services that they reviewed. So yeah, Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. But again, I'm slowly building a complete set of Atari and analog issues. I think we had the Slow Norris, longtime friend of the show, sent me a whole bunch of Antic magazines and analog magazines. So with these, I'm building that collection ever closer. And my plan is to build sort of an Atari 8-bit shrine around the 800 when I set it up. I'll show you if I can swing the camera. Boy, that looks like butt. We're just going to swing that right on back. But there is a, I don't think I can rotate the camera the way that oh, you know what? We'll just do this. Bam. This is going to be my Atari 8-bit shrine. I mean, it already kind of is, but it's going to be more. It's going to be better. And I'm going to have the 800 is going to replace the 1200 XL. I'm probably going to ditch that disk drive because it's really just there for looks purposes, and I'm going to display the 1200 XL and the disk drive together on a separate shelf. Then I'm going to fill all the space on this table with various books, boxed games, and other doodads. So it's going to be a nice little corner right next to my main computer setup, where I do all my digitization and recording and things like that. So that's the idea. And then, of course, looking behind me, we have the NES zone, the Amiga 1000 zone, and the Famicom zone. So the basement's coming along. It's always a work in progress. And we'll just reattach this. That worked better than I thought it would. I love this is the VI Cam piece of software, and it works pretty well. Heck yeah, it was a salt lamp kiosk. I've got a salt lamp and a lava lamp side by side. My two lamp friends. All right. That concludes the magazine section. Let's see what kind of other stuff we got in here. Look at this. This is current notes. So this is something I've never seen before. It says your monitor on the world of Atari. This is from May 91. This almost looks like a this is a homemade style publication that has advertising, because the paper is like regular copy paper quality. Trying to figure out. Yeah, it says this publication is produced using an Atari Mega ST4, a monochrome monitor, and a laser printer. So yeah, I mean, it's cool that this is a US based publication. All the prices are in dollars. And you can subscribe for $27 a year. It's published monthly. I have never heard of this magazine, and I would love to know how long it was in print. Pretty cool. And again, it's just a mixture of Atari ST stuff and Atari 8-bit stuff. So yeah, I love it. I love it. Man, ads like that, I remember those. So, okay, that was the last magazine. Now we move on to the books. Book number 1, We Love Atari. And I'm sorry, I should have centered this camera a little bit better when I hooked up the thing that I hooked up. But We Love Atari, A Journey of Discovery. I've never heard of this book. Wow. Full color, though. I love that. This is great. This is what I like. I like books with lots of color pictures from the 70s. That's my favorite thing. And it looks like it's just it's a collection of advertisements. This is, one of these projects that's like a labor of love. People put these books together. I see them for sale from time to time. These days they get kickstarted. Yeah, I mean, this is fantastic. Fantastic. Look at this. Wells Fargo in 1981 ran a Atari game program cartridge discount program. So you could, I guess maybe if you opened a Wells Fargo account, you could, I guess Atari sent out coupons to registered VCS owners for this 1981 promotion. So yeah, if you opened a Wells Fargo account, maybe you got $5 off one of these games. Pretty cool. McDonald's, Atari promotions, the game box, the brain box. I like that. That's a good way to sort of set those two apart. That's a UK ad. Atari supports the USFL. How'd that work out, Atari? Yeah, so very, very cool. This is from Zaffin Books. Zaffin Books. So, yeah, and this was volume 1, which presupposes there might have been more volumes later on. All right. Breakout. How Atari 8-bit computers defined a generation. Oh, the USFL was a short-lived competitor to the National Football League, Kiosk. This is a fantastic book. I do have this book. It was given to me by one amigo, Aaron, and it is probably my favorite Atari 8-bit book I've ever read. It's a history of the platform, then a bunch of reviews at the end. But Jamie Landino is an excellent author. He's written several books about the ST, the Atari, and also DOS gaming. So this is a double. I will look for a new home for this. Maybe make a certain BoatFest auction package to include any doubles of stuff that I have here. So yeah, Breakout, fantastic book. Next up, The Future Was Here, the Commodore Amiga story. This is also an awesome book. I also have this one. Hat Chad, my buddy, gave me this book a couple years ago. This is a fantastic book. A lot of this stuff was over my head, but I enjoyed reading about, it kind of gives you an idea. You can go as deep as you want. Of course, I flip right to the Babylon 5 scene. Of course, it's common knowledge that the Amiga was used on Babylon 5, Sequest DSV, best sci-fi show ever. You can, this is a fantastic book, highly recommended. The Future Was Here. Maybe we'll do some sort of a giveaway at BoatFest this year and put some of these in the old giveaway. Okay, look at this. 8-bit Apocalypse, the untold story of Atari's Missile Command. I have never, this is a brand new book. It's got to be. Let's see when this is copyright here. Copyright 2018. I'm totally wrong. Okay, I thought I would have heard of this. Forward by Jeff Gersman, one of my favorite video game personalities. I've never heard of this book, and let's see what it says. Okay, so it's not just about Missile Command. This is just really, it's about Atari's culture in the late 70s. But it is sort of centered around Missile Command. So it's a book about Missile Command, but it's more than just Missile Command. Written by Alex Rubens, a strategic partner at Google. So yeah. Cool. I will definitely be reading this. I've got a special shelf. I have about 16,000 bookcases at home. And I've got a special bookcase that's just for my video game books. So I will put this in there and give it a read. Next up, we've got Bill Hurd. Bill Hurd, of course, a special friend of Frank from Retro Rewind. Him and Bill are best buds. A design engineer's story of Commodore computers in the 1980s. This is definitely something that I want to check out because, of course, the C64, C128. There's so many questions that I have about like why they did the things that they did. So this looks really good. Bill Hurd worked at Commodore Business Machines in the 1980s and was the lead hardware engineer on the Plus4 and C128. So it says, join him on a stormy journey as he recounts inside stories about designing computers for Commodore. So yeah, I bet this is super, super interesting. Next up, we've got Once Upon Atari. This is probably the book that I've heard of that I've wanted to read the most. So I'm super excited to read this because this is really, it's a combination of business book and programming memoir from Howard Scott Warshaw. As you know, Howard is the programmer behind E.T., the infamous E.T. And of course, ET number 1, not the worst game in the world by a long shot, and number 2 was produced under such insane time constraints that the fact that it is the game that it is a miracle. So this is his memoirs. Looking forward to reading this one. Commodore: The Final Years by Brian Bagnall. I've not heard of this one. On the back here, we've got a thing with a motherboard with a 128. It's interesting, this motherboard image is copyright 2019 Cloanto Corporation. Cloanto, of course, the company that owns the rights to Amiga Forever and various other pieces of Amiga IP, but I didn't realize that those ownership rights extended into images of motherboards of the C128. Kind of interesting. Let's just take a quick look here. So it says, this book recounts the Amiga's resurgence in the late 80s with the A500 right up to the early internet era. So, 89 through the end, basically. And it includes stories from dozens of former employees. And of course, this is the third book in the series here. And there are some color photographs, which is always wonderful. And the final design of the C65 case. Of course, the C65 has had quite the resurgence here lately. Boy, look at this guy. What a character. So yeah, there we go. The Final Years, Brian Bagnall. Coming to the end here. Paul Atkinson, Delete. A design... Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Buck, because I hadn't heard of him before. A design history of computer vaporware. Whenever I think of vaporware, the first thing that comes to mind is the Phantom Lapboard. But I'm sure that computers are littered with... computer histories are littered with vaporware of various kinds. Like this one. This is, do they actually say what it is? Yeah, the IBM, quote, Atari PC from 1979. So what they've done is, looks like they've ripped off the Atari 800 lock, stock, and barrel. But this was, this looks so real and it's so old that I wonder if this is, I don't know. I don't know what this is. I'll have to read more about what is going on. But yeah, I always like the stories of what might have been. Geez, look at that thing right there. The Sun modular computer. That's wacky. Yeah, so this looks great. Especially the old stuff like that. I'm always down to read about some vaporware. Cool. Okay, up next. Oh, here we go. It's another Bagnall. This is Commodore: A Company on the Edge. I believe this is the first of the trilogy. So again, you could never know enough about Commodore, especially in my line of podcasting. So yeah, and it looks like this guy, he's an academic publisher. He writes computer books for McGraw-Hill, Prentice Hall, and his latest book is Maximum Lego NXT. So yeah, pretty cool. Like I said, I really appreciate this. And we've got one more tome here. This is, oh my gosh, this is an old school binder. Old school binder. And it's more antics. This was what you did back in the day when you had a bunch of magazines. You put them in a binder so you could read through multiple issues at your leisure. And it also doesn't destroy the magazines, which is a plus. So yeah, it looks like issues of Antic. More, I believe, yeah, it looks like there's the camping one again, making another appearance. Yeah, I believe that these are just additional Antic issues. So when I finish the stream, I'm going to kind of combine everything, and I'll put up on the Discord exactly how many issues of Antic I'm missing to have the full run, because I'd love to have the full run of issues of Antic. It was just such an important part of my youth. It was the first computer magazine I ever read. So yeah, that's it, guys. That is the Atari 8-bit unboxing spectacular. So thank you for tuning in and being part of the chat. Buck, Bongo Games, Kisareth, Mitsuyama, Amigo Aaron, anybody that's just kind of been lurking around. Yeah, absolutely. This is I'm gonna have lots of fun sorting this stuff out, and like I said, making my Atari 8-bit shrine. So lots more to come. And thanks, Steve. I appreciate you being here. And I will see you guys. Next stream is going to be on Friday. This coming Friday, Amigo Aaron and I will be looking at Indianapolis 500, the racing simulator for the Amiga on Amigos. So I'll see you guys later. As always, if you're on our Discord, I will see you on there. If you're not, you'd like to be, patreon.com/Amigos podcast. See you guys later. Adios. It's the awkward walk where I take off the mic and walk to the computer to turn it off.